have seen us punch both our microphones at one point or another. So let's leave the shadow boxing to what's actually happening in the server. Like you mentioned, we are going into Anubis as our second map. Of course, this picked by 3D Max as a team that have been putting a fair amount of rehearsal and putting in a fair amount of repetitions on this in officials as well. So expecting a cleaner showing, because I don't think anyone would have expected a Vertigo pick out of forZe in that first map. And you saw how discombobulated they were and already jumping in with 2 sets of dualies on this CT side.
Well, feels like we do have a bit of a visibility issue going on, Michael. Don't know if it's transferring over, but you know what? Teniers found XRCs, and that's what matters. You've got 2 players from 3D Max falling early in. They don't really have much to offer here. Yeah, okay. Feels like we are somewhat recovered.
Yeah,
nah,
I'm not going to pretend like I saw everything that happened. Nor even that kill, so...
Well, I'm sure it was very deadly.
As forZe have been on these pistol rounds in general.
Yeah.
What, they're 3 for 3 so far?
Admittedly, it does feel like the CT pistol of Vertigo was like the most like cap. When it's like, just throw a smoke on and defuse. What's the worst that can happen?
Hey, I mean, it worked, and you can't argue with the results. Especially when it comes to pistol rounds, that's all that really matters. You want to try and secure a little bit more leverage, a bit more space. So, feeling pretty good about things R4s when it comes to these pistol rounds. Once again, pretty well orchestrated from what we could see from just the kill feed and from the X's on the map.
Like,
once again, 3D Max in the back foot.
At the end of the day, forZe wins around. That's what matters, right? That's all that really comes down to. And immediately after that, we see Joko investing into Kevlar. Did he invest into Kevlar? This is minus $2,000. It feels like,
No, we had a couple. We had at least the save on Joko.
Okay.
Yeah, 0 deaths.
That's true. But it also... Whatever, man. Point is, he... okay, easy. That's not really necessarily the kill that I thought you'd be missing out on too easily. But you know what? At the end of the day, he keeps himself alive. And the Mac 10 can get a few more frags for its trouble, so why not?
Yeah, nicely handled. I mean, I like the idea to go for the triple boost there on the side of 3D Max. Definitely an unconventional angle. You know, I wouldn't be too critical of Easy for that, because how often is somebody, what, 12 feet tall? I mean, what, I think each model is like 6 foot something. So 18 feet tall CT shooting at you. But this was a map that forZe used to play, so expecting a little bit more utility-wise from them, considering there were several moments where it felt like forZe just weren't even concerned about, you know, having all the bells and whistles for executes.
XRCs, though, coming out over here with the XM. This is a very difficult angle to work off of. It seems like he's waiting for a flash that'll never come. Maka doesn't deploy it, so his teammate might be flaming him right now. And, well, speaking of flaming him, Maka will die, not to fires, but he was on fire.
Yeah, that seems like a very weird set of miscommunication there from 3D Max. I don't even think he was waiting for a flash from Maka. I think he was just expecting that forZe would throw a flash before actually permeating into the A play, but as that smoke is coming down, it feels like you effectively have to have your gun raised and have your attention raised to the entrance, because you know it's not really a bait and switch setup when there's no one to bait for you. So a very strange circumstance for XRCs to find himself in. It did feel like he was just trying to play anti-flash based on how he expected forZe to take A main, but they just went in with numbers and crept in, and there he was staring at a wall.
Ostrich's strategy doesn't really work out for him, unfortunately. Have you ever seen an ostrich, Michael?
No, actually, I think I did when I was a kid, a long time ago.
They seem like scary bastards, I won't lie.
Now, not to be confused with emus.
Right. Also scary.
Yeah, which are very similar to ostriches in a lot of ways.
But they won a war against the Australians. That's the difference. And if anyone is wondering about that, that is an actual thing. Do look up the Emu Wars when we are in our halftime break. It'll keep you occupied.
It feels like fan fiction when you read it, but
It is insane. It feels like someone just made up a Wikipedia entry.
it's like, nope. My great-grandpappy fought in the Emu Wars.
Well, a lot of CDs over here on the B side. Will they be the Emus or the Aussies? That is the question. Here finds Joko, takes him down. Gravity is taken apart as well, and turns out they are indeed the Aussies. So 3D Max unable to win out, and forZe will flock all over them.
Once again, forZe having a nice start to their halves. But it's been the second portion, the second quarter, that's been a little bit more difficult for them. Now that 3D Max have Maka on the AWP, they have all their utility as well. They are going to be lacking in kits, but I think they're hoping that they can break apart the default that's looked pretty solid from forZe. Like, they've been organizing their game plan efficiently and playing together for some solid trading. Opening kill, pretty easy. Joko is well revealed. Playing close to dark, but they try to run past the smoke, and even though they lined up a flash alongside it, Joko getting away with the double kill and using a smoke to his advantage, took cover inside of it, 3-on-3 for only a moment, and chalked down to a 2-on-2 with Lucky burning through those flames. But they have access to the site and a plant as well. Only thing that holds them off in Temple is a Mac-10, but Seltzer taking the attention away. Kellyan trying to play close, and now they know exactly how close that action is, but only having confirmation on one of these players. Kellyan is scared to pursue.
And he should be. Maka's around the corner. He misses the shot, but the AWP has to be careful. Will be able to reface in. I have to say that nade went a little bit deeper. That could have been the death of Lucky, or at least made it much more uncomfortable for him to just take the peek out versus Seltzer. And yeah, Seltzer had to get his duel done. The Mac-10 was never going to be enough to actually stop them from taking it away. Also, maybe they were setting up for the Mac-10 to get close and start swinging out after Seltzer gets the fight or anything like it, but they just weren't prepared for Lucky to face in that quickly. You could really tell they were expecting a late round rotate to come through Canals, maybe because they saw Maka in the A site earlier on. But with the op, obviously, his patterns are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, just hoping that they had a little bit more breathing room after they got the plant, because it was very hectic because of the chaos that Joko threw at them with his play around those smokes.
Last map, we saw 3D Max climb back up from 0-4. This will be, rather 0-5. It'll be a similar attempt now. Deep nade is solid, easy, not feeling too good about it, and Kellyan's not feeling anything. He's dead, Michael. He is dead.
Tanir could be the next to fall. Yeah, players trying to line up utility is Tanir. And 3D Max did probe for a bit of information. They did spot one player, but uncertain about full numbers. forZe throwing a whole bombardment over towards that B bomb site. But just unable to get any space from it because of that fresh smoke that meets them towards B main. Yeah, a push that is actually spotted out from middle, that the trades come out successful here for forZe. Even though they start that man down, they've equalized.
They're so committed to the push that Exorcist continues forward, but he didn't feel like he could maybe back or something like it. But now Spirit, Joko nearby, Flash is dodged. He heard that one being deployed, and Spirit is able to get the better of him. A man who went largely missing on Vertigo, but it does feel like he's come here to play now. 3D Max miss out their window, and it has to be Gravity to show up and step up now. Seltzer low from the earlier nades, headshot territory, but can Gravity even be offered that one up? A4 is going to mean he's got a bit more to spam out with. Flash goes too far forward. Bombs being planted, prevented for now. Seltzer is down. Gravity is still looking for a fight. Reload is prioritized for now, and as Maka is spamming away, Gravity is the one leading the charge. Two players are low, and Maka is the one to bring them down. He knows Spirit should be around death point, and indeed will be able to find the frag, but Spirit 3 bullets is all he's able to land. A little bit less distance, and Maka would have been a dead man.
Oh, that comes down so damn close. I mean, Maka must have got the information over that they knew Spirit was low, but he was flicking multiple different directions with that USP, so it gave Spirit a chance. Had to hit the headshot, though. Maka just had every advantage on a health trading basis. Even landing the headshot as well on that USP. I mean, shout out to Gravity. I mean, did a fantastic job just being so hard to pin down. They really wanted to find that kill before committing to the plant. And then when they consider, oh, well, he's just not going to fight us. He's not facing us. As soon as they tap it, he starts making all this noise, gets them off of the plant, finds an extra kill, brings it down to that 2-on-2. You could see how uncomfortable forZe were in that circumstance. Very heads-up play from Gravity to bring 3D Max another round, even though Maka's the one that ties the bow on it. forZe just built up so much money on their initial run that they've gone in for a recommitment here, and they've still got quite a lot in reserve.
That's going to be catching out Ecstasies completely. Great play, actually. Molotov keeps Lucky away as well, so it can't be a double peek trained out or anything like it. And with the nade blowing open the smoke, Kellyan's got everything locked and loaded. Do quite like that. Mid will be a vulnerability though, Michael. They've got 3 players in it for forZe, and 3D Max might not be ready for this. Maka blows open the smoke, but he's missed out the timing. 2 players already in through connector. Gravity is not going to be able to do too much. Mollied off, and now in the site he goes, still fighting out. Great headshot. Brings it back to a 2-on-2, and with an XM and an AWP, this retake isn't seeming likely, and that is to say the least.
I love the idea for this boost though. Even blowing open that glass by that XM. He catches the timing. That is a perfectly assembled boost. They went straight for it as soon as they saw that smoke in a camera, and it gives them a man advantage. Easy. Had a great performance on Vertigo, and now thrust into a 1-on-2. Finds Maka jumping out on the flick. This time it will be a miss. A rifle that can be recovered and fighting out in the open. Joko won't let that opportunity slip by. Really well rehearsed from 3D Max for that retake. Another round, and once again, they're stringing together back to back to back.
You can tell that this is a team that loves to play Anubis. If they're coming up with boosts like that and they already have that in the program, great situation as well to pull it out in. Feels like it's so rare that you won't be worried about maybe a late flank coming in from middle and finding both of you, but when you know it's just a 2v2 with both players on the side, good stuff, man. You'll have to see it, some fumbling from 3D Max here and there, right, on the A side especially, but if you've got recovery plans like that, then hey, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, even Maka, I mean, he had barely any time to hit that shot, so really nice to see that he was on point to make that boost basically pan out for them. A lovely name from Lucky.
That is really cool.
Yeah, bounce it off different geometry than what I'm used to, really.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before, and good spam as well. Lucky's getting all the damage. None of it confirmed, though. Gravity will be set up for success if they end up dropping down and going for a Canals Bop in dark.
You can tell they haven't really been pressured towards the B-bomb site, just the bravado in which those players are deploying utility out in the open. Lucky can't finish off any of his frags, but Exorcist will make use of all that damage that's done earlier on. A successful trade back and forth from mid. But they're starting to gravitate towards an A play. One full belt on Tanir. He'll be the one that likely lines up the execute.
Problem's going to be Maka, though. He's got the AWP trained in on A, and you've only got one flashbang to try and force him off. It's not the easiest angle in the world to flash either. I say that right as they get the perfect flash, but the problem is then you can't blind out. Exorcist Maka, a rare miss. And it feels like that might be their options. Closing force has been losing out on 1v1 so many times over. They would love to have this round be somewhat different. Gravity traces forward. XM and Shadow, neither one of those is conducive to duel.
Yeah, I think if he had had a rifle in that position, he might have approached that angle a little differently, but wanted to close that gap with the XM. And forZe, very efficient with their utility. Simple execute, one full belt, but they got that flash to blind up Maka, who was supposed to be that first point of contact. Didn't feel content to just simply sit at bricks and refight in from that angle, especially when his teammate was round the corner. Just how fickle the economy has been here for 3D Max. So many close rounds. It's in with USPs again. They've gone for a full-on mid-stack. One player playing within dark, but this will almost certainly catch these forZe players off guard. Oh my goodness, they pull out nades, but Seltzer his gun raised, and in the chaos, Tanir even killing Spirit, but that's fine. Denying them the money and denying them any possibilities of overwhelming. Come on, Lucky. You didn't play with the squad. Gotta do something with the life you're living. It's having to slide in and maybe try and catch that rifle that was dropped, but it's already being watched for. Seltzer sitting on top of it, Lucky spotting him and realizing that there are security guards.
Kellyan probably wants to try and go for that regardless with the Mac 10. Come on, Lucky, pull out the Zeus. Yeah, that's not working. Range won't really be right. Maka still won't have the AWP now. For 3D Max, they will have one more gun round potentially, and I say potentially, where they'll have the AWP of Maka. So, all of these XM buys that they've been going for, all of these 1v1s that they've been losing out, it's all sort of coming back to haunt them now. You need to start winning out this round. forZe, if you allow them 8 rounds or so on this T side, it doesn't feel like you've got much of a chance switching halves over.
Yeah, Anubis might be a little two-sided, but I mean, the way in which forZe are winning some of these rounds, you know, compared to 3D Max, which have been like clutches, 2v2s, we're going to be very happy with this. Not too pleased about the way this round has started, though. Kellyan getting spammed on timing. They get one back. Found those smokes. Tanir as well takes a dink, but no follow-up damage being done to him means that he gets away with the frag. And that may just be the job done. Backing away from the attempt on the A site, or rather on the B bomb site. They'll try and save what little they still have in their hands. 3D Max forced out of another round. It does feel like when you're going up against a team that are filled with stand-ins and maybe not playing off of one another with, you know, a lot of team practices or officials, you're going to maps like Mirage, Anubis, Ancient. It does feel pretty difficult. You know, these are all maps that feel very conducive to sort of the Pugger's experience.
I mean, Michael, you say that, but then it's Mirage, Anubis, Ancient, Vertigo. That's 4 out of 7, right?
I mean, I would say Vertigo, yes and no. There's a lot of, like, very good strategies that you can only really pull off if you're a proper team. Whereas Vertigo, Anubis, Ancient, I feel like have become so colloquial with, like, the average pugger.
Is Anubis that popular in Europe?
Anubis is pretty popular.
Okay. Anubis isn't really that poppin' in Asia, that's for sure.
Yeah, I will say there's not maybe, you know, you maybe asked for a smoke to bloom in a certain spot, and some people are like, I don't know lineups on this map. They've rehearsed the angles.
No doubt about that. Joko's getting a fair bit of information now as well about what the game plan is going to be. Maka is the one who has to make a play off of it. He can't really back off at this point. Flashbang won't really matter either. Good return flash from his teammate, so it'll be giving him a bit more room to work off of. Lucky stays alive courtesy of a wallbang, and if Spirit wants to come through and contest, well, it feels like he's not got anything to add either. forZe taking damage in the meanwhile, and CTs might be low, but forZe are the ones who've actually lost numbers.
Yeah, Spirit almost finished off by a nade. It was forZe that was able to do a substantial damage to him. Just get his hands on that AWP that Easy dropped. There are still players in towards this A-bomb site. forZe, a great angle to try and disrupt. It'll be Lucky that tries to drive attention his direction. And because of the limited utility, only the one Molotov available, the flash beautifully timed, and forZe thriving in the environment, finding 2 kills, one on which the player wasn't flashed up, but these flashes are layered. 3D Max are catching these players out in the open. They have full confirmation of one of their locations. In fact, even Molotoving Maka out into the open. Seltzer does thrive and get a couple of kills, but there was just so many numbers available for 3D Max to trade out.
That's actually pretty significant that Seltzer finds those 2 kills in the end, and the Molotov doesn't work out for 3D Max's side. because Lucky was going to have enough money to be able to drop the op for Maka if he'd been able to keep his M4 alive. So the fact that both the Molotov being missed and Lucky not being able to finish up the blinded player before he crossed over to Pillar, both of those mean that Maka's not too happy about his weapon. He's good with a rifle, don't get me wrong, but obviously would much prefer the AWP.
Yeah, I mean, you can get your AWPer on the AWP. Well, that's the whole point of the role. Like this play from Joko, Lucky and Ecstasy's taking a lot of the attention in through middle, but trades work out here for forZe. This is a very forward play on both mid and the A bomb site. Joko revealing some of the plan, but also realizing that this wasn't a full finish from forZe.
I mean, Exorcist had the benefit of Joko giving out full noise as he ran back, so Tanir might not have been completely ready for that fight, for that second player to have come all the way through. But will they realize that the A side is empty because of Exorcist's push forward? Gravity as well won't actually be able to find these players moving into it, and that seems to be the game plan for forZe. They're not left with much HP on Spirit. But if he can just get the bomb plan down and easy gets himself in a good position, this could still be a round win for forZe.
They're going to try and play numbers. They are gambling entirely that they won't walk into the A play and get that bomb down. And if they do, having that extra man could be substantial. Well, here the util. A Molotov to heaven, and one that will greet them at camera as well, but there should be no urgency for Gravity to be that first man to face. They need to gather numbers and play the advantage.
Despite the fact that there are 2 smokes available for forZe, there's also 3 grenades for the CTs, so that shouldn't really be too much of a factor. And that is exactly the game plan. My God, Spirit's not feeling good about it. Easy's put his op away as well. There's too many players to face off with. He's trying to isolate duels. The first is found, but 2 more around the corner as they are doubling up. A smoke in and the defuse will be stuck. Gravity's got barely any time. The Tech 9 lining it up inside the smoke with a nice. The one that's trying to finish won't get it done. 3D Max Steel back to 5th as we go to the second half. Let's find out whether they can continue this form there. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of madness, a little bit of, well, a little bit of regret for forZe as that last round finishes out. And I'm curious to see whether or not that'll be continuing over into the second half. forZe are going to be happy with 7, but they have to make sure they're not stuck at it.
This pistol, I mean, so far the pistols have just been so one-sided. forZe have been able to take control of each and every one so far this series. So let's see if that trend continues moving into their CT side, because they have that lead. Of course, this is a very, very traditional scoreline to what we expect on Anubis. The most T-sided map in the pool. We've seen it start to fluctuate back into CT efforts, but hopefully forZe can make use of that extra runway. 3D Max, though, playing a very conservative game on this T-side pistol. Expecting forZe to kind of jumpstart or make that first move, and they did try and plan out a fight, but all 3D Max have really seen his shoulders.
Some people like it.
It's a style.
Yeah. The style right now for 3D Max seems to be leaning over, though, towards the B-bomb site. They've got on the catwalk. They're doing the Sasha down the runway. But are they going to be clipped down by the judges with Kalyan and Tanir? Well, there you have it. Tanir comes through, beheads their hopes and dreams of becoming France's next top models. And Lucky and Gravity are the ones to try and fight back. It's a comeback season for them as they bring it back to a 3v2. Bomb can be planted, but hold up. What's this secret? Judge coming in. Selters missed all his bullets. And only Easy left in a 1-on-3. Almost won it out in the previous round as well. Can he try and put up a show here? Can't really find the shots, can't really connect. And as the T side starts to swarm him, Gravity wraps around the back and gives him a smack on the head.
Yeah, just decide not to play scared against Easy in that situation. The holds looked great at the start of that round for forZe, finding the first 2 kills, but the 3D Max being able to clamor it back via Gravity, then things just suddenly got thrown all out of whack. Selter had a great timing, a great opportunity, but he knew that once he was spotted, his opportunities were going to start to shrivel up. Unfortunately, just couldn't hit a shot. Finally, that streak of pistols being broken, 3D Max might be able to make use of this to bounce right back into this map. Already leading after a very tight vertigo in the first. 13-11 is how that finished for 3D Max, so I think they're hoping as well against this ragtag group of players for forZe that it isn't quite so tight here in the second half.
You know what? 3D Max deserves that eventual easy set of pistol round plus follow-up, right? You know, you've lost 3, you get 1.
Also $3,000 based off of the SMG's investment.
Ooh.
You know, and they win the round,
Money.
so they get the extra bonus for I mean, the round win.
Listen, with how tough it was for them to build up economy in that first half, karma comes back eventually.
They're living in it. Swimming through cash. First real investment here for forZe, but it has a FAMAS and an MP9 amongst it. Kalyan the one that buys a kit and full util, but it's Tanir that takes first port of call. M4 is engaged, does deal with one of those SMGs that 3D Max were carrying over to treat this as a bonus. But it does feel like 3D Max are very one-track mind on finishing towards that B-bomb site, but that is the more reinforced of the two.
There's no flashes. 3D Max tried to go for this dryer peek out over as well, but actually forZe changes their mind. My God, Gravity. That's look, it looks pretty, but that is kind of pure luck. Great crosshair placement, don't get me wrong, but forZe can't feel happy about it. Just walk into a guillotine. That's a blind guillotine at that. Easy's been tagged up at the back of the bomb site in the meanwhile, while Tanir is reloading very close to those smokes. Have to be careful. Selter will be looking to move through the smoke as well, potentially, unless both him and Tanir decide to back off. But unfortunately, only Tanir is in a position to commit here. Selter, I feel like he could have actually joined his teammate at any point.
It has to be one of the worst feelings to be in a situation where you almost want to be able to throw your body out and there's a smoke that traps you off. I feel like Anubis is unfortunately one of those maps where rotating in does feel very difficult if there's just a fresh smoke that's down towards temple or camera. So Zelter really needed Tanir to sort of create space for him to emerge out of that smoke. And without that, the save was called. First tack from forZe coming into this game. Maybe trying to understand how they should set up Zelter to maybe take control of the round. Nice to see that it's these players coming off of the bench for forZe that are showing some good work here on Anubis. Zelter's been consistent across the two maps. Tanir wasn't really shining as that light on Vertigo. Not significantly underperforming by any means, but not building that gap the same way that we see it now lined up on that score line.
Yeah. Is there an angle, Michael, that you like on hero CT rifles on Anubis?
Well, I mean, I love boosts on B in particular, but it can feel very fickle when you kind of like no dart control. It's kind of like the way that your boost breaks down very, very frequently. Also, that heaven boost on the A-bomb site as well. That was shown on Smooya's stream and published on social media as the Smooya boost, even though there had been other teams that had done it, but it's not about who does it first. It's about who sort of publicizes it, I suppose. It's all about marketing.
Yeah. People ran the Olaf boost before Olaf did, no doubt about it, but I never hear it being called the rank 35 team that came up with it boost.
The Reddit post boost.
CTs are at least going to have their manpower concentrated and what seemed like the right area initially, but with 3D Max going for explorations around the map, turns out I was wrong. I was very wrong.
Yeah, they're just throwing all of their util. You know, they're making use of literally every single bit of utility that they have. Just by throwing the two smoke execute over on that B bomb site, it fully convinced forwards that this is where they're going to finish, but by exploring other options, they find a completely vacant A site instead.
Now, you've got to be careful if you're lucky, because you're going to be facing into 3 pistols on the other side if they're taken down, and so is Joko. Guns to be recovered. Maka finds Kellyan, so all in the meanwhile, back to a 3v3. The CTs do not want to commit, they want to save, but will Maka allow them that luxury? Exorcise is tracking them down. Maka is sniffing them out, but no one's actually finishing them off. Spirit moves back to T-spawn, threatens to push back in, but decides to regroup with his teammate instead. 2 rifles should be taken forward for the CT side.
I mean, you have to think of this as a win. I mean, the armor investment from Spirit, but also getting his hands on a rifle just makes this next buy very threatening from forZe. Undoubtedly, they'll be able to afford up an AWP into Easy's hands, who's been hitting honestly, some really nice shots throughout this series, as well as being able to make sure that they have kits and or full util on those 2 players that saved over. Spirit's actually the one that drops over and Kellyan gets the kit instead. Okay, whatever. It's a preference. This is a very, very reinforced buy here from forZe. Probably their best chance to stop this little string that 3D Max have been able to pull together coming into the second half. Tanir saw his life flash before his eyes. 3 nades came straight through that bridge smoke. Sent right at him, but he was able to vacate in time, only taking 60 off his life. You imagine if he stayed.
I mean, that'd be a freeze frame moment right there for sure. .3D Max is again happy to jiggle here and there like a gelatinous blob. Where is it ever gonna go? You don't know, but will it be deliciously sugary in the end? Of course.
That's amorphous. You don't really know where they're headed.
Yikes, Maka might not have wanted to give that information over, but now with so much sound cues being thrown out, the CTs are worried. They don't want to fully stack over rotations, but with 3 players here, they thought that was enough. But no, it's not. Now come out the rotations again with the death of a CT. Tanir actually rotates back into B. Now you've only got 1. It's easy on the A side. They've got 2 flashes on the T side.
But he's stranded.
If they want...
Oh my god.
Well, you say he's stranded, but he's more a cornered animal. Comes through with a big 2 immediately. The collateral is good. Molotov not deployed early on. Maka wants to save it for a little while later on. Lucky as well, lurking through in middle. The timing's not going to be good for him. Killian's already out mid. A 2v4 for Maka and company to collect together. Selter spotted out. Maka's doubled up, and Gravity looks to fight back with 2 of his own, but not even able to find the 1. A retake, but it's all propped up by Easy from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, he was completely alone. He had to worry about the prospect of getting wrapped in from camera as well as A main, and yeah, celebrate, do your little jig. I'm sure Easy is feeling really pleased about how that one's panned out. I mean, if he gets 1 kill there, it's great. I mean, 2 for 1, he could not be... I just imagine the biggest grin on his face that he's been able to lock that one down. Without that, I don't think they win the round. You know, an extra body in the post plant. You saw what Mako was able to do holding in from camera by his lonesome. That's absurd. Everything. I mean, the thing is, 3D Max actually sent them the wrong direction. They hoodwinked them. They made the right call. They go to the weaker site, but then that happens. What on earth is they both walked through this? Wait, Spirit! What? He almost didn't notice. He almost didn't realize they were playing shoulder to shoulder coming out from dark, but now they know that Spirit is close by and Lucky's able to trade out. In fact, Easy walking into his demise as well. Some sharp shooting from Lucky.
Bro thought he was on T side for a second there. Oh.
Well,
Do feel like things are looking a little bit glitchy and hitchy for me and for you, Michael, and that's where we show our faces.
yeah, it wasn't just for us, in fact. So everything seems to have gone a bit pear-shaped. And this game, I mean, is gone all sorts of different directions. I find it very difficult. You know, very frequently we watch these games and we can see everything, right? We've got the all-seeing eye. We can sort of project what's going to happen. But this game is taking a lot of twists and turns, where it's like, oh, these guys have an advantage and they've lost. So it's kind of it's an exciting game of Counter-Strike, but it is kind of the brawl and scrap I was expecting, given all the stand-ins and, you know, uncertainty of rosters at the moment.
I mean, just think about it this way, guys. If we have like omnipotent vision, basically, in the Counter-Strike as casters, imagine how chaotic it must be for them if we can't figure out which way 3D Max is going to end up on sites here or there, right? You know, it felt like a couple of those rounds should have been in their bag. They force out rotations effectively. Easy comes out with a big double because they haven't used that Molotov early on, right? So it's these small things, it's these small little differences that'll make this game continue to be just as scrappy and just as fight-worthy, and hopefully just as quickly resumed.
Yeah, I mean, that will certainly be the hope. I mean, with what we've seen, you know, especially, you know, Counter-Strike has several updates. I have seen that there have been some difficulties on the production end to handle the updates, unfortunately. But, you know, just happy that we're getting updates to the game at all. So did seem like the conclusion of that round did round out to 3D Max getting another one added to their tally, but they did wait for us, I believe. So
I would like to give you an update, Michael, and there's 2 AWPs for forZe. I don't know how they've afforded that when they lost the previous round on a buy. We don't talk about it.
no, we don't.
Oh, we talk about that, though. Big kill for Selter. Maka's taken down as he tries to get aggressive. Meanwhile, Tanir meets his makers. And just as soon as the action begins, looks like we might be continuing on with it. Selter rounds the corner. Exorcist will not be ready, not even in his dreams.
Yeah, I mean, Exorcist playing in that tight angle, just hoping that he goes uncleared, because there's a smoke that was down at the entrance to A main, so Selter feeling bold enough to clear that out himself. It feels like you'll always have an advantage in that regard, especially if you move in with a crouch peek. So even though it started 1-for-1, being able to get back into an advantage via Selter's secondary AWP. 3D Max are rerouting themselves and grouping up for a mid take. But once again, forZe seem to have a bit of a misread on how 3D Max are going to adapt to this circumstance, because Selter is, once again, an AWP alone on the A site. We'll have to be worried about the prospect of players coming this direction. Flash is great. They cross on over, and they're going to challenge in from camera. Again, following up with even more utility, just sending nades his direction, but Selter finding another, but traded out finally. Joko creating some presence and space on this A bomb site, but they have to worry about the prospect of a flank as well. They don't have any real safe territory for this post plan.
And Gravity's position does absolutely nothing when they're all coming in through CT spawn in heaven. All he can hope for is maybe being able to turn around on time to catch off Spirit as he starts to go for the full strafe out. But even there, it'll be difficult. Joko, I mean, he's gotten some distraction with Gravity's help. He will be trained in Easy. If he just goes forward for the quick scope, we know he can be good for it. But Easy, generally better at just holding out the angles, goes for the full wide swing, and Joko feels obligated to take the peek. He's got the frag early on, and Gravity, the bomb was planted for him, so he's more than happy to play time. 3D Max again in the chaos. They're able to come out on top.
And no one will survive this round. Gravity getting a parting gift before that bomb takes him out, but all that matters is that they got the round together. I wasn't sure if Gravity was going to be able to find the timing, but them being grouped up like that, the fact that, you know, it was very likely that that AWP was going to be posted on that heaven line. Gravity just finding good timing and once again playing positionally fantastic. I feel like Gravity has had several moments where he's shown some great ability to read exactly what he has to do in that moment. It's been key in quite a few of these close rounds for 3D Max. Foul once again here for forZe. Hitting on max loss bonus, but still having enough in the coffers to get their hands on the big green. But mid has been a bit of a problem. It has been left alone, unoccupied, unguarded, several times over for forZe, and, you know, they got away with that once. But I'm not sure they can get away with it time in, time out. Double rifles playing inside of A main. Selter and Tanir hoping to lock them away from this play, but they have left the B bomb site only guarded by 2. You've seen forZe gravitate that third man over several times. It's come back to bite them. Kellyan
Caught out over here.
Play.
Kellyan doesn't actually pull the trigger or anything like it. He's going to be going for the flank later on, so does find the kill, but Joko's already taken his teammate in the meanwhile. Tanir pushes out from A, so trades himself 1-for-1 again. That's a problem all over the shop, but Gravity's the one who's here to try and turn things around. Selter's expecting it, but expectations be damned, he still dies. Easy's rotation back into the site will be caught out with bullets galore. Gravity can't continue fighting. He knows even a pistol would be enough to be taken down right now. And with nades following through, Maka providing cover fire, Gravity can continue to be an absolute menace in that middle.
I mean, he's just been such a nuisance. As soon as he gets that deep position into spawn, he runs away, he repositions, and he knows that all attentions are going to be drawn to him, and that just makes Maka's job that much easier, serving as the protector to a player that stood right above him, just constantly being a thorn in their side. Gravity has come in clutch so many times over. This is, I mean, aside from those like big streaks we've seen, especially late in the game, we've not seen as much separation as this. 4 rounds. forZe will need to win them all straight if they want a chance, and Ecstasy's already decapitating some of their chances. Gravity doubling down on finding these opening picks, and Kellyan getting spammed through smoke. This could not have started worse.
Well, that's Joko, and Ecstasy is right around the corner, going for a little bit more. Spirit's actually able to find almost a full double kill, but now he has to face back into Lucky. Happy to do so. It's the flames that distract long enough for him to actually be taken down, and it feels like Selter, who's had a monstrous effort himself so far, now spotted out by Maka, will have to take the knee. forZe will be relegated to that middle group in Group B. Maka shuts him down and out 13-8. 3D Max take it home.
Yeah, I won't say that this whole series was pretty by either team. There was a lot of very interesting rounds that ended up developing, but 3D Max winning both maps out as the team that have been able to stick together as that core four. But the player that they had standing in for them, the player that's been playing with them as of late in